What's up, YouTube? It's Ben with BK Speed Shop. We are back out here working on the Jeep again. Merry Christmas to all who celebrate. Me personally, I don't, so this is a great time for me to continue making progress on this thing. Today, I'm just trying to get my lines finished up and continue moving on and see how far I can get on this weekend that I've got a couple days off because obviously it's Christmas. Let me flip you around, show you what I've done so far today and what else I am working on currently in the middle of. All right, so I've got the oil pan back on. Oil pan back on completely, fully torqued. You can see on it, obviously, it's got the drain bung for the AN fitting. It actually has the AN fitting on there. I'm working on mocking that up. So I've got the pan back on there now. I got this exhaust manifold put on here. I put my ARP bolts in on this side since I don't have any broken off in the head, obviously. So this side is now torqued down. This side and my oil pan are torqued, good to go. I have my turbo now on here. Should be the last time it comes on and off. It's good for now, so I don't see why I'd have to take it off again. I've got my AN line, my feed line. Ran from down there, nice and clean. Coming down and attached, I don't know how well you guys can see it down there. Attached to the oil pan right there. And then coming up through here and 90ing into there. I'm working on my drain now, so I've got this one started. I'm gonna have to bring it in to my workshop this week, use the vise, and just finish tightening down that fitting. I've got that mocked up. That's gonna come from down here on this plate down, and I'm actually gonna feed it through this loop. That's gonna be the best way from what I've found, just based on where this drops down to, because I can't really bend the line any other way. That's gonna feed down straight through here, come down, loop down, and feed right to that, or it'll 90 right into the bung on the bottom of the pan. So now I'm gonna cut this, get that AN fitting put on there. When I get to putting the AN fitting on there, I will show you guys how that AN fitting actually pieces together. It's a PTFE one. And for the cheapo fittings that I got, they're not crazy cheap. It's the Evil Energy kit. They're still decent, but they've so far gone together very, very well, and I am very impressed. They've gone together easily. They look nice. They look high quality. Big question is going to be, once I have this running, if they leak. Because if they leak, then obviously I'm going to have to swap them for something else. But if they don't leak, then bang for your buck, 10 out of 10. If they don't leak at all, I would recommend these to anyone, but don't hold me to that just yet. Obviously, I haven't ran this, so I'll keep you updated on that soon. For now, I'm going to get back to work, and once I get to that AN line fitting, I'll show you guys how that all goes together again. Got the AN line trimmed up to its proper length. I'm going to disassemble this fitting real quick and show you guys all the different pieces of it and basically how it all goes together. With it being a PTFE line, it's always going to have this, obviously, where not all normal ones will. I'm going to leave this tape on here so that way I can easily get this slipped over. It's going to be this piece on here, obviously. Then I'll pull the tape off. This little metal fitting is going to go around the line itself. Then I will use this little tool here, which will fit inside the line, help to open it back up, make sure that it is truly square, or well, I guess in this case, truly round. So that way this fitting can actually properly go in there and seat, and then I'll tighten it all up. Don't really have a hand to do this with, so I am going to set you down and start putting it together, and I'll show you before I tighten it all up. We have it most of the way together now, And just a quick word of advice to anyone who is not familiar with doing AN lines. Be careful, especially if you're using the steel ones. I mean, I obviously had this taped off, but they're sharp. I'm sure you can see a little bit of blood. I poked myself a couple times. The saying blood, sweat, and tears. There's a lot of blood and sweat in this build up till this point, so it's a process. So just make sure though that this metal fitting is all the way seated on that line. You can't tell 100%, but it's all the way down. It was tapped down so that it made it work. I've already reamed that fitting out. I'm gonna set you down, show you, make sure that tool goes all the way in there so that I know that it's truly round. Spin it a couple times, make sure that that's free. And then you're gonna pull this up, put the normal end over it, and tighten her up. So we got both ends of the AN line tightened down all the way. Actually did some sloppy stuff to do it here so that I won't actually have to bring it to work. If it leaks, then I'll pull it back off and I will remove everything and redo it again. But this should work for now. We're not going to go in depth on what sloppy stuff we did to make it work, but now I am going to get it put on there and test fit and make sure that it works. If it works, then I will fill everything up with oil, make sure I'm not leaking from the bung or anything on there. But let me get this put on there and I'll show you guys after, once it's on there, how it runs, how it looks, make sure that it all clears nicely, and show you all that. In the meantime, I got my dipstick put back on, so everything's closed up on my oil pan now, except for that drain bung, which will be closed up now. Keep everything nice and clean, be able to fill it with oil, so that way everything at least has oil on it and is not dry, getting moisture on the engine components, obviously. So, yeah. All right, both the AN lines are ran. We got the feed, and then we got the drain back here. Drains down through there, down, and into the pan over there. I've got my manifold on, plug wires on. This side's mostly buttoned up right now. I don't expect to have to take it too far back apart. I got my first section of my exhaust on right here. Runs down to here. I need to mark this with some paint pens or something so I can make some marks. That way I can tack it and full weld it out so I don't have a major boost leak there. But it is gonna work really well. Comes down, crosses over right back here. So I'm gonna end up having my wastegate coming off right here most likely. So that way it's got some good priority flow from my exhaust, so I don't have too much boost creep or anything like that. But overall, I'd like to say she is coming together pretty well. Starting to look like a turbo swap and starting to look like it was made to be like this, and the lines are, it's just overall looking pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with it so far. I'm gonna keep working. Probably shortly here, I'll probably get the inner fender put back in so I can see how everything sits. I've got my coolant overflow that actually sits up here on the fender, which once I put the fender back in, I'm going to end up relocating that further, probably right back here, just so that it's out of the way. I do still have my battery that's going to sit right here. Holly's going to run through the firewall over here, so I do have to make sure that the coolant bottle is just out of the way. For my cold side, that's going to end up running down and probably up right through here. I'll probably cut a big hole into this, into my grill, but I've got some time for that. I'm going to have to figure that out, so that'll be coming up in the near future here. But overall, it does look pretty good. All right, so I'm just finishing up with exhaust mock-up. I've got the crossover bolted onto this side to the header, or I guess to the manifold because it's the stock one. Runs down, connects right there, and then runs over and connects again down there. And then it's gonna come up and bolt to this, but it's all the way seated, all the way bottomed out. So I don't know if it was just poor craftsmanship of the crossover, which that would fall on Summit, since that one was ordered directly through them. But what I think I'm gonna do is just take this pipe down here and trim this maybe half an inch, maybe an inch or so, so that way I can make it a little bit more compressed, a little shorter, so that way that V-band right there can line up. But as of right now, it's looking pretty good. It is getting there. I think we're going to call it quits for the night. It is getting a little bit late right now. I will probably leave everything how it is, come back out tomorrow and get working again. Tomorrow I'll probably shorten that exhaust, as I was just saying, and just make sure that everything for that seats properly. If I can, I'll get my wastegate and everything marked and the crossover marked, so that way I can go ahead and weld that all out. But I feel like I've been making some good progress on this thing. Got the lines ran today, obviously. Oil pan back up where it needs to. Got it filled with oil, so it's moving in the right direction. One manifold seems to be on for good. Got to get a bunch of the other stuff bolted back on there and get it back together. Make it start to look like a Jeep again. But overall, I'm happy with how this is moving along and how it's progressing. I'll be back out here tomorrow working. I will try and keep you guys in the loop of where we're at. But overall, I'd like to think that this thing's going to be pretty fun. Definitely that it's definitely been a bit of a learning curve. I'll leave it at that. So any tips and tricks that you have for me, drop them down below in the comments. Other than that, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.